The FedLife podcast is presented by Serving Those Who Serve, a fiduciary, fee-based financial planning firm serving federal government employees and retirees all over the country. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be taken as financial advice. All listeners should consult their personal advisors before taking any action. The opinions expressed by our hosts are their own and do not reflect the views, policies, or position of Raymond James. Securities are offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. Serving Those Who Serve is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services, Inc. And now, here are your hosts. Dan Sipe serves as a branch manager for Raymond James Financial Services and Serving Those Who Serve. Ed Zerndorfer is our guest and federal benefits expert in the space.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the FedLife podcast. If you don't know me, I'm your host, Dan Sipe. I'm the branch manager here at Serving Those Who Serve and Lee Sipe and Associates. I'm going to begin as I always do by saying thank you. Thank you for taking the time to watch or listen. But above all, thank you for your service to the government, to the country, to me, to everyone. You do not hear that enough. You will always hear it here. Additionally, the other person you always hear here is the guru, Ed Zerndorfer. He's back with us once again as part of our ongoing mission to reach, teach, and serve you. Once again, we follow Ed's FedZone articles. He writes them every single week for us, and you can find that at fed-zone.com. Great information. So we pick a couple out to amplify them as one more way to reach and teach, because some people just like to listen versus read. If that's the case, you don't have to worry about scribbling notes, because the article will be your notes. So your notes are pre-taken for you by the guru. So today we're talking about something brand new, and the timing could not be more important. Trump accounts are set to launch on July 4th of this year under the provisions of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act of 2025. These are custodial-style traditional IRAs established for children under the age of 18, and federal employees with young children or grandchildren will want to pay close attention. Ed has everything you need to know. Okay, Ed, let's start with the basics. What exactly is a Trump account, and how is it different from something like a custodial Roth or 529 plan that parents might be already familiar with?
Yes, a Trump account is, like you said, it's an IRA, but an IRA established for the benefit of a child younger than age 18.
Gotcha.
Now, when one thinks of an IRA, he thinks about, well, I'm working now, I can put money in. In fact, when it comes to any type of IRA, traditional or Roth IRA, if one wants to contribute to an IRA, one has to have earned income.
Sure.
We're talking about an IRA here in which a child who was just born, it can be established for. Now, obviously, the child does not have earned income.
Yeah, I started working early. I didn't start at age 0.
Well, I will tell you, Dan, that I have 4 children, all adults now. When they were teenagers and got jobs, like over the summer, I told them, you're getting a paycheck. You know what that means? You can start saving for retirement. What? I need that money. You know, I'm going to go to the movies. I'm going to go to ball games. I said, yeah, you can do that, but you're going to save some money. Save some money. You know, I asked them, how much are you going to be earning over the summer? They said, $500. That means you can put $500 into your IRA. Oh, no, I'm not. No.
I wish I could have been a fly on the wall for that one.
I want to spend the money. I said, I tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. Whatever money you can put in, you can. And they were 9 years old, so the brokerages will allow your children who've reached the age of majority, 18 in this case, to open up an IRA. Whatever you put in, I'll match it. So my kids would put in. One of my kids was a little more serious. He earned $1,000, so he put in 500. So I put in 250. So that was $750. It was put into a Roth IRA. That's when he was 18. He's been contributing to his retirement account and work. He hasn't really put any more money into the Roth IRA. So I want to tell you how much that Roth IRA is worth now. That initial $750 contribution, it's gotten about 8%, return. He's 45 now. I put it in when he was 18. What is that? 27 years. His Roth IRA now is worth $5,991.
I was going to guess
a little less
6,000.
than $6,000.
Yep.
He's not going to touch it. He has no intention of touching it. Think about if he leaves it alone for the next 30 years. He's 30 years younger than me. He's 45 when he turns 75, God willing, 30 years later, and gets the average 8%. It'll go up. It'll be up to a little less than $7,600. $7,600 that he can pull out tax-free.
Nice.
That initial $500 you put in, I imagine, has grown that much. That's what I mean.
Nice.
That's the thinking here when it comes to the Trump accounts. Get your
early.
child started somehow, some way.
Awesome. So who's eligible? I understand this is a pilot program with government seed contribution for children born in a certain window. What are we talking about there?
All right. Children have to be under age 18 with a Social Security number. And there's something called a pilot program, okay? Adds a one-time $1,000 seed contribution. Now, that's only for U.S. citizens born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028. They have to be U.S. citizens and they had to be born after December 31st, 2024 and before January 1st, 2029. I have a grandson who was born on September 15th, 2024. Missed it by 3 months.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's talk about the contributions because there are several different sources here. Can be individuals, can be employers, even states and charities. You say the annual limit's about $5,000, but not everything count towards that limit. Man, there's a lot here. Can you untangle that for our folks?
There's a lot of weeds in here. We'll try to straighten out the weeds. Get through the weeds. First of all, the maximum contribution to a Trump account is $5,000 per year. That's the absolute $5,000. And multiple sources can contribute each year. We're talking about a child's parent or legal guardian, maybe other relatives. It's not clear. Dan, you mentioned at the outside, grandparents. You got to be careful. In fact, I have an update to this column. It's going to come out next week. It's going to be submitted about there's a potential problem with grandparents. A potential problem.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, you'll see that. It'll be in your hands by next week. That column.
Super.
So I think we may have to have an update to this because Dan, understand the rules are still evolving. The Treasury's still putting out rules on this. This is just the beginning. There's going to be a lot more rules.
Gotcha.
All right. So what we know so far, the federal government seed contribution for those children born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028, that seed contribution does not count as part of the $5,000.
Okay.
And as I say, individual contributions, any adult can contribute to a combined as part of the $5,000. And by the way, the $5,000 will be indexed for inflation in future years. This is just for this year. Okay. Employers can choose to contribute to an employee's child's Trump account. That's part of the $5,000. And the employee via payroll deduction can contribute to their Trump account as part, payroll deduction. Again, all part of the $5,000 employer. Now, in addition, okay, states and local governments can contribute on behalf of a child. Charities, 501(c)(3)s can, let's say a child's doing volunteer work for a charity. I don't know, maybe they go to their church, synagogue, or mosque. They volunteer. Maybe they help the pastor, the rabbi, the whatever, and do this, just do some volunteer work. And the church synagogue says, we really want to show our gratitude. Let's make a contribution to the child's Trump account, and they can. All part of the $5,000 annual contribution. Okay, so money can go in there. It can be. We'll talk about how it can be invested, and this will continue until the child turns 18. Through the years, money is being contributed to the child's Trump account. Can only be one Trump account per child, though. Per child.
Gotcha. So let's go back to the employer angle here. I want to make sure that we understand this. Can a federal agency contribute to a Trump account for an employee's child?
See, again, it's very, very general now. I don't know what the federal government, they can. I mean, I'm talking about in general, a employer can, but I'm not sure whether the federal government is going to do that. It's up to the employer.
Gotcha. Can the employee contribute through salary deferrals to the Trump account?
Again, we don't know what the federal government is going to allow it. It's up to the employer. It's strictly up to the employer. Does not have to offer this,
Okay. All right. Well, folks, stay tuned as this evolves.
Again, this is just the initial rules coming out from the Treasury Department regarding Trump.
Gotcha.
Account. You will be able to open them up starting July 5th, 2026. You can apply for it before then, for a Trump account, but then actual contributions cannot be made until July 5th, 2026.
Gotcha. Now, I noticed in the article you flagged something critically important, which is the tax treatment of the withdrawals depend entirely on where the contributions came from. So our folks really need to keep accurate records. Can you describe explain how the different contribution sources, individual after tax, gets treated when the money comes out?
Let's get back to parents and legal guardians. The contributions they make are made with after-tax dollars. After-tax dollars. The $1,000 seed contribution is going to be taxable when withdrawn. With the parents' after-tax contribution, that means that when money is withdrawn from the Trump account, those contributions that are part of withdrawals will not be taxed again. Dan, it's analogous to a non-deductible traditional IRA.
Gotcha.
With a non-deductible traditional IRA, the contributions that the IRA owner is making are made with after-tax dollars. That means that once the money goes in to the IRA, this is the non-deductible contribution, those contributions will accrue earnings over time. The earnings are not going to be taxed until they are withdrawn, but after age 59 and a half. So what portion of the withdrawal is going to be taxable? The earnings, not the contributions. Why? Because they were taxed before they went in. That's what I mean by after-tax contributions. So I always ask the question when people ask me about IRAs. Well, how is the IRS going to know that the contributions went in with after tax or after they were taxed? I don't know. I asked, how do they know? When you put money into when you contribute in a given year to a non-deductible IRA, you have to file a form with your income taxes. It's IRS Form 8606. That tracks what's called the basis of your IRA, the contributions you made. They're going to be the same thing with a Trump account. When the parent puts money into a Trump account, again, with after-tax dollars, there has to be some tracking of these contributions in order to establish the cost basis. I wrote a publication that's available at Serving Those Who Serve. It's called Federal Employees and IRAs, in which I talk about non-deductible IRAs, and I have a worksheet in that publication that keeps track of your contributions to a non-deductible traditional IRA. That you should keep that, so when you take the money out. But you also should file a Form 8606. But getting back to the Trump accounts, it's going to be the same thing. The parent who opened up this Trump account has to somehow establish a cost basis. The contributions that are being made from charities or the employer are going to be with pre-tax dollars. So that money that's being contributed to the Trump account will be fully taxable. You don't have to worry about the basis of that. It's just those family contributions you got to keep track of.
Sure. Let's talk about what happens to the account before the child turns 18. My understanding from your article is that withdrawals are essentially off limits with very limited exceptions. Is that right?
Yeah. You really don't want to mess with and taking money out of there, because there'll be penalties. There'll be penalties, probably a 10% early withdrawal penalty. Well, who's going to have to pay the penalty? The child? No, they're not at age 18. They don't have any income. I mean, how can you assess a penalty on a child who's really not, technically is the owner of the account, but, is a minor,
Sure.
know? So generally speaking, they're off limits until the child turns 18.
Gotcha. And then when they,
go ahead.
I was going to say, you may be going there now. When the child does turn 18, they have options, correct?
Yes, there are three options. Option number one, just keep it as a Trump account. Keep it as, okay? Now, can you keep funding it? I don't think so. I don't think you can keep funding that Trump account. But it's at some time when money wants to be taken out of there,
Sure.
okay, it can be without penalty. But it gets back to the question about this aggregation of cost aggregation of where all the money's coming from.
Sure.
The child by that time will be an adult, and here they found out they have this Trump account. People who put money into it are long gone. Okay, what do I do with when I file my taxes? How do I report the income? You go to an accountant. The accountant says, "Well, I don't know. What is your basis in this?" So that's a consideration. If you keep the Trump account, eventually take the money out, and you could
Sure.
take the money out for anything, because it is a retirement account, but it is not a retirement account. That's what I'm saying. When a child turns 18, they can take the money in there that has been contributed. The earnings will continue to grow, but they take the money out. They can take it out to use it for anything, just like when you take money out of an IRA or an IRA. Second option would be to roll the balance over to a traditional IRA. Now, just take the money in the Trump account and roll it over to a traditional IRA, not a Roth IRA. Why? Because there's money in there. There's money in that Trump account that may have been contributed on a pre-tax basis. The seed account, money coming out, is going to be taxable. So that cannot be rolled into a Roth IRA. Employer contributions, charitable contributions, that charity put money in there. That's all pre-tax dollars. That can then my kids. But the third option is the Trump account, or the child, now adult, can convert the Trump account to a Roth IRA. They can do the conversion, but they got to pay tax.
Gotcha. And what about the investment options? I understand there are restrictions. They're leaning towards low-cost index funds, correct?
Yes, there are certain requirements here. The investment options have the following certain features, I should say. They have to be invested in open-ended mutual funds. Those open-ended funds, also known as mutual funds. And they could be open-ended mutual funds, or also, I should say, in addition, or exchange-traded funds, ETFs, that track the Standard & Poor's 500 or another equity index, for which regulated future contracts are traded. At least 90% of the funds must be invested in U.S. companies. Okay? There's no leverage allowed. You can't use borrowed funds to purchase the securities. Expense ratios for the funds have to be 0.10%. That's 10 basis points or less. Why? Because they want to make sure that these Trump accounts are not going to be, that their investment performance will not be affected severely by the high cost of some funds. Some funds have very high costs. Their expense ratios are way up there, 2, 3, 4%, and that takes away from the overall investment. Trustees may offer multiple options investments and must designate a default investment. Okay. Again, these initial guidelines in terms of the investment accounts.
Gotcha. So finally, Ed, for our feds who might want to do this, what do they actually do? Get them started.
If they want to get started, now remember, no money can go in until July 5th. But if they want to open the account, they should go to the IRS website and download IRS Form 4547. IRS Form 4547. That account is entitled Trump Account There is going to be an upcoming online tool to open up the account at the following website: www.trumpaccounts.gov. That's where they also can open up the account. www.trumpaccounts.gov. Once you fill out the IRS form 4547, or you go online, fill out the form, the U.S. Treasury will provide instructions how to activate the account. I mean by activate, that's when you can start putting money in.
Gotcha. This is something that could actually change the trajectory of the next gen for some American families and federal employees who have spent their career in service to the government. This is an opportunity to give their children and grandchildren a meaningful financial head start. And you've laid out all the moving parts so far, and we will absolutely stay on top of this as we get into additional information and pass it through.
We certainly will, but I just want to mention also, I mean, there are other alternatives. I mean, there are other things available to help save for your children's future. We're talking about 529 plans for their college or vocation, and the 529 plans also as part of one of the provisions coming out of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act of 2025 is that 529 plans have been expanded, things that are being offered in these plans. You could put money in there for a child, and anyone can do this. A parent, grandparent, uncle, aunt, there's no problem, for the benefit of a child. And that money can be pulled out. The money going in is not tax deductible contributions, but the earnings were tax free, provided when it's pulled out, it's used to pay for college, university, vocational school now, to learn a trade, be a welder, be a air conditioning or heat furnace technician. It's fantastic. These are some alternatives. I've known of parents who invest heavily in these 529 plans, and have said, "Well, is this a better deal? This Trump account?" I said, "Well, you're limited what you can contribute each year, and the child is technically the owner, of the account." This is interesting. With an IRA, like I did for my kids, the owner of the IRA was my children when they put the money in, and they're also the owner. They can take money out. Who's the beneficiary? Who's going to be the beneficiary? They have to designate a beneficiary. What about a Trump account? The Trump account. Who's the owner? The child. Who's going to be the beneficiary? The child. And I still think there's some estate planning issues here also that have to be addressed about it. If God forbid the child dies, who gets the account? There's still a lot of questions. The Treasury really has to put out more guidance. As you said, Dan, we'll keep track of this. I'm keeping track of it all the time. And there'll be another Trump account column coming out very shortly. So read the first one and follow up with the subsequent ones.
Absolutely. Brother, I said it before, I don't know how you keep it all straight, but I'm glad you do. And I'm glad you do it with us. So on behalf of all the feds, thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. My pleasure.
Well, folks, that's a wrap. We are Serving Those Who Serve. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast on YouTube and Spotify. And please, please, please share it with your friends and even a few strangers. Don't forget our live webinars every single week. Go to the SWS website. You'll see the webinar button. Click it. You'll get the whole menu. Sign up for one, sign up for all. The guru will come to you. Treat you where you are, teach you where you are, above all, serve you where you are. Share it with friends. They will thank you. Be sure to read Ed every single week in the Fed Zone, just like you talked about. That's fed-zone.com. So signing off for Ed, the crew at Serving Those Who Serve, and me, Dan Sipe. Good luck, Godspeed, and above all, remember, it's your Fed life. Make it a great one because you deserve it. Stay well, everybody. We are out.